Welcome guys back to a new episode. What can I say? So what you're going to do to begin with, this is going to be, we'll talk a bit more about this later, but there's this document, it's in the description below, just Command A, Command C it. It comes from this GitHub repo here. This is just the Unity, it's Unity made it, it's tech demos. You can just go to Unity, go to open up your Visual Studio Code. You probably want to create I create a folder called util. You can call it whatever you want. That's where I put my file. I called the file animated tile since it's what the script's called, but really it doesn't matter that much. And then you just copy and paste the script there. I added a little comment at the top, as you can see. I'll be changing the script a bit later on, not this episode, in a few episodes' time to add more support to things, but right now it's fine. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to do is we're actually going to start by looking at some actual sprites. So these sprites are all under here. It's called /rogue Gungeon tileset. You can just download them. This is what the thing's like. It is free, however you can pay if you want to. Just you're paying if you're producing a product that you're going to sell, because it's only fair. You can always come back and pay later if you really want, but you can also just not pay and just go straight to the downloads. Now once you've downloaded it, you're going to get a ton of files, and the files are all here, as you see here. You just drag and drop them in and you should have 3 sprites. These are sprite sheets, and so what we're going to do is we're going to make them multiple sprite mode, and we're going to make them 16 pixels per unit. This means our scaling is nice. We're also going to make sure that they're all point filter. If they're not point filter, you get really blurriness, and if it doesn't look as crisp or as clear as mine, that means you don't have point filter on. It will still work, it just looks a bit odd, and you get artifacting. We're going to talk to slice by cell size, and we're going to make sure it's 16 by 16, as you see here. And then we're going to do the same for rogue player, but we're going to make sure it's 32 by 32. So notice how it's slightly different this time. Make sure that the pivot is center, always, right, for everything. Then for here, we're going to do the same thing, but we're going to do 16 by 16 again, right? And press apply, and then we're done, and now we have all our sprites. As you see that little arrow, if we clicked it, we'd get all our sprites there. So now we're going to create a new tilemap under 2D tilemap, and then we're going to make sure our cell size is a bit important here. So it says 1 by 1. We want it to be 1 by 1 because we have 16 by 16 pixels, as you can see here, 16 by 16. But we have pixels per unit is 16, so 16 by 16 divided by 16 is 1 by 1. So therefore, we want our grid to be 1 by 1. This just makes it a bit easier. We'll be changing our grid later on, maybe if we want to make a map a bit smaller. I think we probably will, but we will see when we come to that. So we're going to rename it. We're going to call it floor. We're going to have another one that I just duplicated there. Doesn't really matter. This one we're going to call traps, and then we're going to have another one which we're going to call top level. If I can actually spell, there we go. And so this, we're going to be changing things like the animation frame rate and all that kind of stuff later on, but right now that's not important. Right now what we're going to do is we're going to be looking at making a tile palette so we can actually draw maps. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a new palette, we're going to call it Gungeon, and then we're going to just press create. You can have automatic cell size because it will just default to whatever the current it'll just default to whatever the thing you're looking at, so it's fine. And so we're going to create a new palette folder. I'm not going to create it under scripts, so we're going to create it under assets. So as you see there, delete the folder because it won't let me move folders. And then under palettes, we're going to create a new, we'll just do under palettes. So we'll just do under palettes, and then we've got this default brush, that's good. We can just drag and drop it. It doesn't matter where you drag and drop it, it just matters that you drag and drop it. Then under palettes, we're going to save all our tiles that we just created under auto tiles, as you see there. Now while this is generating, I'll just kind of note that this is recorded in post-production. This is not usually what I would do, but just due to the fact that the audio was quite weird and stuff like that, I had a bit of static. I mostly fixed it. There's a bit of a kind of a silent hum when I'm not talking, like you probably just heard there, but it's really indistinguishable when I'm talking, so I feel like it's an okay remedy. It really will be fine since I generally talk most of the time. So we're just going to start by drawing. We've got to make sure that you're on the right thing. See here, I'm on top level. That's a problem. Hopefully I fix it. Do I? Yeah, I do. There we go. good. So you make sure, it doesn't really matter what one you're on, it still would have worked if I was on top level and I actually selected the correct tile, but we want to make sure we're on the floor. And don't unselect the tool that we had. We're going to use that box there. This allows us to draw basically a box, as you can see here, so we can kind of just grid fill. And so what we're going to do is we're going to make a box that, as you see here, is one less than each side. So here it's got kind of a 2 on the bottom and 2 on the top, but 1 on each side. This is because this will make it odd. Now we'll readjust the camera, and in this case I actually accidentally readjust not the camera, I readjusted, you see here, the grid. I should have realized this, but I just didn't when I was doing it. We'll readjust the camera to make it better. But by readjusting the grid, which it will snap, it means that you can basically mean it so it's still centered really nicely, but it's actually odd. And then what we're going to do is we're going to grab some tiles and we're going to put these around the outside. This gives us more of like an Isaac kind of feel than anything, that kind of style. And then we're going to do the same thing with the sides. I do change up my tile set, which was kind of stupid. I'll fix it in a minute. I basically use the wrong tiles. You can put commands there if you really want to undo things like me, or you can just like use a razor tool and fix things up like this. I generally use a bit both. As you can see here, you gotta make sure that you actually, sometimes you won't draw, if you select the razor tool, but you've actually selected a thing, it can get a bit finicky, and that's just due to the fact that it's pretty much in beta, so it's not a great tool right now. It's okay, it's much better than what I've used before. I've used much better ones though in general, like there's one I use quite a bit. Tile 2 Unity is actually really, really good still. We may end up using that if this still doesn't work, but I kind of want to use the inbuilt that stuff into Unity because it's there for a reason, right? And it's got better integration, I will admit. We're going to chuck a door right in the middle. Here I actually count it wrong and then fix it immediately. I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yes, I count that completely wrong. And then I go, oh, there's 7 here. And then I recount because I felt it did odd, so there's no way it would exist, and I was right. So I go, okay, that's weird. Anyway, so all I gotta say is, I decided not to command Z that one, is that while I'm just building this map, as you see here, I'm just doing some walls, and we'll talk about top level stuff in a minute. Actually, we're going to do that right now because it's better to do that. So to fix your top level, we're going to change that to 10. The order. What this would mean is this means that we can basically layer things on top of each other. So we're just going to select this entire thing and we're going to make sure that we're on active level, top level, and then we can just kind of put it on top. Now in this case it's not working because I accidentally moved the base tile map, which means that everything's off-centered. So while I just play around and try to fix this, I generally will cut things out like this if it's more than 30 seconds, but this is like, I think literally like 20 seconds or something of me playing around, so I was like, yeah, it's not worth it. Maybe it's not, we'll see. But basically, just kind of wait until he figures it out. So I've actually got, so basically this series is just kind of gonna be me kind of showing you how to build a roguelike pretty simply. It's not gonna be an incredible roguelike, it's not gonna change your mind. But it will be quite fun to build, I think, and I definitely think it will be quite enjoyable. So what we're going to do is we're basically going to start off by building a map, and then we're going to basically do our character movement, do our character actions, do our character attacks, and all that kind of stuff. And then from there, what we can do is we can work on actually properly doing our character, basically by doing things like random generation of the maps, maybe new items and stuff like that. And so we'll be looking at things like that, maybe having bosses and so on. We'll definitely work on getting enemies and so on before we do any of that, because I think it's quite important that we actually have a map that works before we start to randomly generate them. We probably won't do bosses before we do random generation though. Yeah, so here I figure out. So what I want to do is we want to make sure that you're actually moving the camera around to center it. So I'm moving the camera to, as you can see here, I kind of get it right, then realize, okay, it's just going to be 0.5 on each side, and it is. So just set the X and Y to 0.5 and you get a centered camera. Then we're going to reselect what we had before. And we're just, as you see here, now we paint it on top. Wow, look at that. It's perfectly centered. Isn't that beautiful? So it actually looks really good too. And that's because of the point filter. If it didn't have point filter, it would look quite blurry right now. So if it still looks blurry, maybe you don't have point filter. Now in this case, I'm actually not painting this on the right level. As you see, I edit the trap level, but I don't actually paint on the trap level. I'll fix this in a moment, but the same stuff works as what I'm doing. You realise that you do a lot of mistakes when you look at things in post-production, which is why I don't particularly like to do this in post. But yeah, so I'm also doing another series today. I don't know how long to go for, but there's a project I haven't worked on in about 2 years. The project's actually probably, no, not 2 years, a year. Year was since the last pull request. It's a project it's called Project Porcupine. It was started by Q18. I became an admin on that project, and it is off-centered. I never fixed that, I'm sorry. That'll be fixed by the time that the next series come around. I think I realized it after the episode and I fixed it. But one important thing you got to notice here is that you got to notice that I want to be above the traps, or rather the same level as the traps, but I want to be below the top level stuff. So I want to be below the door. So that means if I walk up against the door, I'm below it. And so when I walk through the door, I'm below it, right? But I'm above everything else. Which means, so you gotta get sprite loading a bit right. For some reason, sometimes when you drag some things onto things, it just resets something. What's actually happening here is it's resetting, as you can see here, it's resetting the order in the layer. If that happens, just reset the order of the layer to be 10. Sometimes this happens when you drag and drop things. It's better to drag and drop it onto the hierarchy there for some reason. I'm sure there's a reason, but anyway. So we're going to be setting the slime and the player to both 7 in their order. Now here I'm going to pick the second slime. It won't really matter because we'll be animating him in a second, but the second slime looks a bit better in terms of its initial position. So to animate the slime is really easy. We're going to click this animation tab here, and then we're going to add a new animation. We're going to call it slime. I'm going to change the animation name to idle in a minute, so you may want to do that. This doesn't really matter what you call it. The most annoying thing is realizing that the one thing Unity doesn't have great support for things like this on Mac. Folder creation and doing all this kind of stuff that seems like it's pretty intuitive so I renamed the animation wrong, but we're just going to go back and edit it. It's pretty easy. You can just edit the name here, as you see here, call it slime, and I call this one, if we go into animation, you can see here, it's the motion on the very right. See how that's already adjusted? It's because it's linked to the item icon. So if you change the name, it will change all the references to it. So that's a really nice thing. I didn't realize that it would do that, but it does. Okay, so next what we're going to do is we're actually going to start by building this sprite. It's really easy. Also, don't worry about those arrows on the left. I think I've said this a few times, but the arrows on the left are fine. So we're just going to drag all the slimes, you can see here. But first we have to actually select the slime, otherwise it won't let us actually animate it. So once we've selected the slime, you see that add property button's up there. If that property button is not up there, it means you haven't selected the slime. We can drag and drop all our sprites and we're basically done. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go to the second last one. And as you see here, I'm just showing the animations. He jumps up. If you look on the left, down, up, and then starts moving right. We want to delete the one that makes him move right, because this one is going to be used for our movement, basically. But the one that just makes him jump up and down, that's fine. And so now it's too fast, way too fast. We're going to slow it down to about 10. I quite like that. It's really quite nice. I can give him a bit more airtime. I could increase his air. I'll be looking at doing stuff like that. But I think that's really quite nice in overall. We will be looking at doing things like slowing down his airtime and stuff like that, giving him 1.5 times the amount in the air to kind of give him more of a kind of a floppy effect. Then we're going to select up to 7, and so a total of 8 objects, but not including 8. So just 7 to 0 basically. See how he changes? Yeah. So 0 to 7, and then we will get these sprites, and basically that's it. We don't need to change anything else. There's no, we go remove this one. I set the sample down to about 8, and that's about right, because I kind of want to give him a bit more of a flowy field. Yeah, so if you played it now, you would see both the slime and him moving, but we'll move on. Now we want to animate these torches. Now we could just animate them like what we just did there, but we could also use a component that we just done, called the animated tile, the thing that we added to the project at the very beginning of the episode. So we go down to assets, create a new animated tile. We're going to put it under palettes, and we're going to put another thing called animated tiles, or NM tiles. And we're going to call this coin, because we're going to animate the coin. Then we're going to duplicate the coin a total of 2 times, so we have 3 assets, and we're going to call one of them spikes, and another one of them torches. The torches will have, I think, 5, yes, and then we're going to go to Gungeon _ I don't remember the name of it, as you can see. It's about, as you can see here, it's about 101 to 106, I think it is. But you can just also click on it, as you see there. I clicked on the little sprite when I actually clicked on it, and it brought me straight to it, so I could just drag and drop all of them. Now if you accidentally click like that, that's annoying. So one thing you can do is you can press that little lock button that I just pressed there. What this means is that regardless of where you clicked, it doesn't matter, it won't switch to it. You're stuck on that thing, which is amazing because it means that you won't accidentally exit what you're trying to edit. It's very, very useful. So here I'm going to press Gungeon. I think it's _9. I don't remember what it is. You see here, it's 90 something, and then there's actually 4 of them. And then instead of keep going through them like that, I can just click on it, as you see there, and just drag and drop all of them like this. And done. That's it. It's easy. I will be editing things like the speed and stuff like that. Now the next thing is the spikes. Make sure you unlock it, then relock it. So you're on spikes. I'm going to select it. I do change it to 8 in a moment, but this is a bit different. There's only 3 animations, but what we're doing is we actually want to give the player a bit more freedom in terms of escaping it. Otherwise, what could occur is they could actually get hit by it, and it feels a bit unfair sometimes. So what we're going to do is we're just going to make sure that it's really easy to kind of escape for it from when you're in the middle phase, but it's a bit harder when you're in, obviously, the earlier phase. So you get about 6, what we could call 6 frames of animation before the spikes appear. And the spikes are going to be quite slow too, so they do get quite a bit of grace in terms of movement. But due to the fact that if you move onto the tile and it suddenly changes on you, then it could seem a bit odd. Anyway, we're going to set the minimum and maximum speed of the coin to 75, the minimum and maximum speed of the spikes to 0.33, and the minimum max speed of the torches to 0.66. Yeah, I'll change it in a moment. This is just due to the fact these are just figures I pulled out of my ass by playing around with it a bit. Generally, I originally played around with this on the camera. The original video was like 40 minutes long, so I decided to redo it, making it a bit shorter. The thing is, these things haven't been updated yet because we've kind of added these new tiles. How tile maps work is every tile is kind of a tile. So we add a bunch of auto-generated tiles. So what we want to do is we want to go through here and edit these ones to be the auto-generated tiles. Of course, this is when I realized that, oh no, I've actually done it on the trap, on the wrong level, as you can see here. So what I have to do is I have to get back down to the traps level. And if you're like me, hopefully you didn't do this, and hopefully you actually edited it on the trap level like I said. Maybe I wasn't explicit enough, I'm sorry if it wasn't. But what you want to do is you actually want to edit these and rewrite over these with the proper ones. One thing you could do is go top level and then clear everything and then redo it. But in my case, just to keep my centering and stuff like that, I'm basically going to click on it, as you can see here. Click on that little painter icon, click on this, and just basically just paint each one of them. In reality, I'm going to be writing over the top of them with animations really soon, so it doesn't really matter, but still, I felt it was worth it to kind of just show you the proper way of doing it. In this case, I actually don't override the coins because for whatever reason it doesn't select them. It can be a bit weird sometimes, but it's fine, I'll fix it in a moment. I also don't fix the torches, but I'll fix the torches in a very quick moment. But you see here, I'm just kind of wiping out all the under thing. That's important because it basically, that's kind of what gives you that, in animations, if you have things on top of each other, the animations can look a bit weird. You'll see that with the fire, which was actually one of the reasons why I kept the fire here. I actually did some of this on purpose because originally I was like trying to kind of give you an idea, because sometimes you run into problems with game programming, you just don't know what you did. And the whole point of this was to kind of show you, well, if this occurs, this is what you do. So here, that's good, because you know you're on the right level if you click it and you actually get selected. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to change each of these to coin. And you see how it's the last frame of animation? That's good. What that means is that it's going to work. Because what it does is it chooses... sorry. I should have realized the torches don't really update, but they're still updated a little bit. But the last frame of animation basically means that when the game starts, it's going to instantly have a frame of animation and instantly change over to the next frame, which is going to be the first frame. So that's what you want. Otherwise, it won't work exactly. Okay, so now we're basically done. We can press play and we can see everything work. And the spikes are updating. Oh no, there they are. Oh wow, those spikes are real slow. Oh, yeah, because of animation failure. I was like, wow, why is everything so slow? There was legitimately a reason. I was about to go, oh, I think I made a point for the video. Everything's better now. And the reason why is because that animation frame rate, as you see there, wasn't 10. So on the very right, undo your trap. Only trap, go make sure it's 10. Because if we make anything else 10, it won't make any difference. It's got to be just trap. Now our character and our slime are not animated the same way as everything else, so keep that in mind also. One of the nice things is, what we can do now is we can go, I saw this, but I can't believe I saw this, by the way. I saw that the flames were wrong, and instantly as I cleared them, you see that they changed things, which basically verified that they were wrong. I saw them, I was like, these flames aren't right. I can't believe I realized that, but basically, this is what the frame should look like. As you see, if yours does not look like this, please write in the comment below and I'll try to help you out. This is basically a basic map. We're going to be playing everything on this. I'll fix those pots next time. And stuff like that. There's a few things I really want to look at. Stuff like moving things around and so on. Having colliders, picking up coins, having health and so on. There's a lot we want to do. Anyway, thanks for watching the video. There's a lot coming out. But as I said, I don't really talk about that video, but basically there's another video I'm going to do today. That's basically all around this old project I've been working on and getting it back, not back doing it again, because I think I've closed down the project, but I do want to fix off a few things and finish that stuff. So we'll work from there, see how that goes. Anyway, see you guys next time. I hope you enjoyed this video. It's been great fun to do. And see you next time. Bye.